Hey, Keith here. I've never done anything like this before, but it's 2 days before Thanksgiving, and there's one thing that I love and I've always loved growing up was sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie, especially sweet potato pie the way my mother used to make it. Problem is, I can't have sugar. I also can't find a sugar-free sweet potato pie anywhere. So I looked at all kinds of recipes. I'm taking a little of this person's recipe, a little of that person's recipe, a little of my own spin on it. And I think you'll find it very interesting. Let's see how it turns out. If it turns out great, if you're watching this, it must have turned out great. So let's see how it goes. I'm making 2 pies, so I'm thinking this will be enough sweet potato. I'm doing 1 small, 1 medium, and 1 large. I think this will do it for 2 pies. We'll see how it goes. Before you microwave them, you want to poke holes in them all the way around so that heat gets in there. There we go. This might be a little hot, so let's make sure we are careful. First, I'm going to make sure they're soft enough. So I'm going to stick a fork in, and if I have to put it in the microwave a little longer, I will. Let's see how soft they are. Nope, they're still too hard. I only gave it 6 minutes, but I'm going to give it another, let's say 5 minutes and see how it goes. It's still a heck of a lot better than waiting for them to boil or softening them up in the oven. So we're going to try it this way. 5 minutes. So now we're looking at about a total of 11 minutes in the microwave to soften them up, but that should do it, and then we can mash them pretty easily and then put them in the blender, and it's all gonna work out. I'm confident. Okay, so I'm using some pretty simple ingredients. I'm using a little ginger, a little cinnamon, a little nutmeg, eggs, almond milk, and my secret weapon, sugar-free French vanilla coffee cream. That's right, coffee cream, because we're not going to use sugar, we're not going to use Splenda or any stevia or any kind of artificial sweetener that has an aftertaste. Just going to use that to sweeten it, and I think it will taste great. I have 2 gluten-free pie shells that I got from Publix. They're great. I think they're going to make the pie really tasty. With any luck, it'll come out awesome. Again, if you're watching this, it must have come out great because I wouldn't have posted it otherwise. Stay tuned. And I think by now, the sweet potatoes should be soft enough to start to mash them up before I put them into the blender. 3, 2, 1, yay. Let's see how we do. Okay, they are soft enough, so I'm going to cut them up first, and then I'm going to mash them. That big one's still a little tough, but I think it'll work. I like to take a knife and get them all. Get it all smashed up first before I start to really mash it. See, when they're good and hot, they're nice and soft. It's a whole lot easier to mix in your other ingredients, and it makes the job a lot easier for the blender. Or if you don't have a blender, you can of course use a mixing bowl. I don't have that, so I'm going to add 1/2 cup of almond milk to the sweet potato mixture. Next, I'm adding about 3 tablespoons of margarine. It's not quite a 1/2 stick like I thought I was going to use, but I'm just going to use 3/4 of the stick of margarine. Mash that in there. Next, I'm going to beat two large eggs, and I'm going to mix that in there. You're probably wondering, why am I Why don't I just go ahead and put it in the blender now? Well, I like to make the job of the blender a lot easier. I'm using a NutriBullet. I don't want it to be too hard to get it in and too hard to get it out. So 2 forks is the way a poor dad does it. So now I'm going to take a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, sprinkle that in there. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon, sprinkle that in there, and a half a teaspoon of ginger. All right, here we go again. A little bit more mixing. The last thing I'm going to add before I put it in the mixer is I'm going to have a cup of our sugar-free, which is also dairy-free, by the way. A lot of people don't realize that these coffee mates are not, they're dairy-free. So again, sugar-free, I'm going to use a cup. That sounds like a lot, but we want it to be nice and sweet. All right. Let's get that all blended up. My NutriBullet is kind of small, but it's a lot more powerful than my blender, so even if I have to mix it up twice and make 2 trips in the blender, then that's what I'm going to do, because it'll work a little better than the regular blender. But by all means, if you have a great standard blender, do that. If you have a mixing bowl with a mixer, use that. Just need to get the sweet potato pie soft enough to pour into your pie crust. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to, oh, who knows? Maybe I can get it all in there. Let's see. You're not supposed to fill this up to the brim, but this is so soft. Let's see if I can get that mixture in. Wow. No. NutriBullet isn't going to like this. But it really won't take much. Oops. I'm going to open it right over the pie crust. Here we go. I'm not sure I'm going to make 2 pies, but who knows? Let's give it a try. Got my little wooden spatula here. Maximum use here. Ta-da! Ooh, this does not look bad. It's all about presentation, so let me clean the edges a little bit. See if there's enough for the second one. Start with the scrapes. We don't want to waste not the slightest little bit of sweet potato. See how much we got left here. Uh-oh, it's looking kind of slim. Now I'm going to take the spoon and see if I can scrape a little more. Might get 2 pies out of this yet. fell, but we still have 2 pies. I didn't promise you this wouldn't be messy. For the record, I wouldn't recommend filling up your NutriBullet the way I did because it ran down the sides, made a big mess, but got the job done. See what we have left in this bowl. Look at that. We may have 2 pies yet. After a little scraping from the bottom of the bowl and the bottom of the mixer, we actually have 2 pies. "375 degrees for about 55 minutes. That's 55 minutes to start cleaning up some of this mess. Now, I haven't eaten eggs in over 2 years because I've been on an almost vegan diet. I mean, I do eat fish because it's good for people who are diabetics. But other than that, I have cut dairy, I have cut meat, with the exception of fish, like I said. So adding a couple eggs in this pie is the first time I'll have them, but I think I can make an exception for Thanksgiving. This is quite the feat to me, see, because I love to cook, but I hate to bake. I just never have gotten into the idea of baking. I've never baked a cake or a pie in my entire life, which is completely the opposite of my mother, who loved to bake, made cakes and pies and cookies almost every weekend. But she didn't like to cook. She cooked because we had to eat. She cooked out of necessity, but she didn't like it, but she sure loved to bake. When I was at a boarding school, she would send cakes home with me on the weekends. It was great. But let's just see how this goes. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Let's see how we're doing here. Not looking too bad. Even the one that I thought was going to be a little too. Let's see. There's the flat one. Now it's going to look a little puffy, but if what they tell me is true, it should flatten as it cools. So I'm going to let it cool, see how we did, and I'll come back in about 20 minutes and give it a taste. Okay, so here we go, the moment of truth. By the way, I forgot to tell you that you can't have sugar-free sweet potato pie without sugar-free Cool Whip. So I'm going to cut up in the one that didn't quite get full because I need the good one for Thanksgiving Day. So we'll see. Little double of sugar-free Cool Whip. Now I can go ahead and taste this, but the true test will be if the wife likes it. Let's go see. And there she is. And here's the true test. Here you go, sweetheart.
Oh, I love the tester. Okay. Oops. Oops. That's good.
For real, for real?
Yeah, for real, for real. That's good. It's not
that is sugar-free sweet potato pie
too
with
sweet, but it's sweet.
With a sugar-free whipped cream, with sugar-free Cool Whip. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's good. I get all of it, right?
You get all of it.
It's delicious. Thank you.
And there you have it. Wife tested and wife approved. Bon appetit. See you next time.